All right, good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Monday, March 30th. So we've got one more day of March. That is tomorrow. That'll be the 31st, and then that is it for the month, and we start a new month. So I wanted to, first things first in this video, I wanted to go over something that I'm going to be doing a little bit differently. So as many of you guys know, and members who are watching the video, I run an all-day trading room, right? I provide guidance kind of throughout the day. Now, you could see exactly what I trade during the day, what the reasoning is for my setup, basically what I'm looking for. I will give you, the style of what I'm doing for the day. One of the things that we've talked about for the last couple of weeks is basically day trading is where the opportunities are. I recently just put out like a whole basically webinar this weekend, talking about different strategies to do. So I don't do free trials, right? So that's something that people have asked me over time. Hey, do you do a free trial? I want to come check out the room. And no, I don't. I don't do them because it costs me money, right? I use some of the best technology out there, right? Everybody's using Zoom now, but I've been using Zoom for the last year. It's a great platform. I also use Slack, right? Most trading rooms don't use Slack. Why? Because it costs money. Because when you have to archive everything, I actually get charged per member. So that's why I don't do free trials. I also only want serious people, and I find that if I bring in anybody, you get a whole bunch of oddballs in there in here. So it's just a product of the environment. But so what I've decided to do, just because I want to do something. I think a lot of people are at home. They have the opportunity to trade more. So this is a great time to basically check it out. So this is what you get, right? You get our Slack trading room. I'll give you a quick glimpse of that. Of course, you get our private Twitter feed, which I only use that for swing trades, which I'm doing less of right now, but I will change once this market changes. And then, of course, daily videos and everything else that we do. But here was the day trading webinar that we gave. I went over, I basically talked about an hour, going through exactly how I'm setting trades up for the day, how I'm scanning. I also put together this. This is something new. This was for the watch list. Every weekend I put out a watch list, and those names are based on basically technical setups and just names that I think have a catalyst, or there's something, there's a reason. Something like Peloton, where basically it lined up technically this week, but also it's a good reason because people are ordering more exercise equipment for at home. So that's basically how I do the watch list every week. Notice how this works. This is all in the 1 hour time frame. So this is something that I I don't provide, but this helps me take trades. And if you have the Market Webs indicator, which is what I use a lot, this is something that I will go over in the room, basically, how to set this up. So that's the plan. And I'm only going to, I don't want to have like a huge amount of new people come in. I'm only going to do 20 spots for this week, right? So you could sign up and you'll get charged $7.99 for 5 days. And then what'll happen is if you decide to stay on, you'll get charged $129 a month. That's all I charge for a month, which is much lower than most other trading rooms. That's just something that I'm happy to do. I don't need to be like the most expensive person out there. We've got the whole idea is we've got an exceptional community of traders, which I've developed over the last couple of years. I kick out people that I think are a detriment to the room, and I make sure that we're really moving as a team together and helping one another. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for just a community of traders to bounce ideas off of, to kind of work together, so it's like a trading desk. That was the whole idea of me starting up the Tribeca Trade Group. Then go ahead and I'll provide the link for that, and you could do that for this week, right? And then also what you'll also get is what I do on the weekend, which you don't see, which is a weekend video and the watch list, which is right in front of you, and that gets you set up so that you have someone who's done a lot of research for you, and you can start the week off on the right footing. All right, so that said, let's talk about today's price action and what happened in the market today. So again, very similar to a theme that I had last week. Just markets are continuing to run. I think that there's a lot of analysis out there, which again, it's great for people to to come on TV and media and talk about what they think is going on in the charts and what they can expect. The consensus view that I saw this weekend and what I've been seeing, I'd say even before the weekend started, was people are looking for a retest of the lows. For one, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if we continue to rip higher like we've been doing. I think just take it day by day. We go through some things like looking at the VIX to tell you where volatility is, but I think people are too wrapped up in trying to like solve a puzzle every day. Just go with the momentum, right? And try to dumb it down. I think if you're trying to like figure out like, oh, we're gonna retest and then we're gonna bounce and then it's too complicated. I've been through and I know most of you have been through corrections and so forth, but what I've learned to kind of get past some of those is don't overanalyze it, right? I know take it for what it is, right? Take it for talk about the things that we do know, right? The VIX finally got below 60 today, which is good. So again, I don't want to say that we're out of the woods, but we're making progress, right? This is different than a different view of basically what I said this weekend and towards the end of last week. We're looking like we're leaning to the downside. We haven't really broken to the downside yet, but we're definitely leaning that way. And the VIX was down 13%, which is a bit different than other Mondays. So this gives us great trading opportunities, and that's what it was again today. But let's let's not try to figure out like the whole game of what's going to happen in the next 2 months, right? We're dealing with something that's very different, and you have to take the new information that comes out. For example, like if midday, this market seems like it wants to rally for a couple hours. And then what happens midday is they start revealing all of the all of the corona virus cases globally, like they did they do that in Italy, like some of the big hot spots around the globe, right? And if the number comes in a little bit cooler than expected, and it shows a decrease in the rate of increase, right, which people are looking for a flattening curve. The market seems to be relieved by that and seems to kind of carry on as is. If we're going to see a spike in cases, which I think all in all this was pretty good. The market digested what Trump had said. If this was like about a month ago, right? And Trump talked about that he was going to basically, have to close the country up for the month of April. The market would have sold off hard on that, but the market seems to have priced this in at this point, and a lot of the bad news seems to be priced in. Now, if we go past April, then it could be another situation, but it seems like the market is now taking this in strides. We also have a lot of quantitative easing going on, right? So you have to keep that in the back of your mind too. Don't fight the Fed, and they're easing globally. So that's basically the case for now, and I think some of the areas that we talked about in the weekend video were on the top of the leaderboard. Healthcare, I talked about both biotech and medical devices. Abbott helped their case today, but you could see biotech was up, almost 4%. So was healthcare. That was also helped by J&J today. So that you had a couple specific catalysts for that group, but that's been showing some nice relative strength now for weeks. Also, the semiconductors, like they just continue to power through. That was also something that we highlighted in the weekend video, which is right here. I talked about relative strength on Sunday, and I mentioned cyber names, semiconductors, utilities. I think utilities performed pretty well today too. Consumer staples, which I kind of held off in the middle, but the consumer staples like Pepsi had a great day today. Take a look at this Pepsi chart, by the way. I mean, talk about a name that's just continues to kind of retrace some of the downward move very quietly. Has now taken back the 20-day moving average. So again, it's going to hit some overhead resistance, but for now, it's moving with some nice momentum to it. Names like AMD and the semiconductors are continuing to do very well. Even though it wasn't a huge day, but still up 2.7% and still taking back some ground. I think Nvidia too. These are my two favorite names within the group. I mean, look at Nvidia today. That's back over the 50-day moving average. So, and a full green bar on that too. So, I mean, this is almost right back to where it was basically in the beginning of March, end of February. So there are some names that are really showing some nice relative strength. A couple other names that have been in the Tribeca Trade Group watch list for the last couple of weeks is Citrix. Look at Citrix, finally, like it broke out. Some of these, some names have been really have been a little bit difficult to with some big back and forth movement like over here. But if you stay with them, they've been working okay. They've been basically working real well. Sorry about that. Akamai. Is very close, by the way, to breakout. Right, this is another name that kind of powers the internet. Very, very close. It is. It did close inside value, but this could be another name that I think may do something similar to what Citrix is doing. And then, of course, like a little bit something different. Look at Peloton today. In value, made a nice move today. Kind of gapped on the open. Up 6.6% today. I was talking about this name over the weekend, getting into value on Friday. So there's just a couple names. What did I trade today? I traded some Netflix today. It just looked like it had, and again, I'm not being greedy with any of the day trades. I got out of this. I think at my ultimate target was 376. I got out at 375. I just thought that was close enough. So we go over to trades. I also traded a little bit of Take Two today. I traded a little bit of Boeing. We saw some repeat Boeing calls. I actually had to add to that to make it work. Microsoft. How can I leave out Microsoft? That's the only option. Big swing trade that I have on. I'm in the January 165 calls. I got out of those and rolled those to the 170s. But in hindsight 2020, I probably should have traded stock in this one, considering that you're going basically against the grain. But this is a name I've been talking about now, for a couple weeks, and I was wondering, when this thing was going to get going because it seemed like it was logically going to benefit from the current situation. So all you needed today, you got a couple analyst notes out today. You got some progress, I think, I think the note was out from the company itself saying how much business they're doing. So I don't think that should be a shocker. And it was a head scratcher to me. Like, in the beginning of last week, I'm like, why doesn't this thing have good momentum to it? But so it finally caught today. So I got out of my January calls and I rolled them. I still want to be in Microsoft, but it's good to take some money off the table and to kind of roll out and up just like the institutions do. So that's it for today. Just to kind of look at the performance. I always like to sort first by overall performance. And let's also sort by column N, which is what names were the strongest over the day. Believe it or not, XOP rallied the most from the open. Like I said, consumer staples, biggest move from the open besides that XOP ETF, up 2.9%. Tech, healthcare, biotech, like I said. So pretty much some of the same groups that performed well for the day also just were strong. Software was also pretty darn strong as well today. And then, of course, there's some names that are not really participating, not doing that well, which continues to be, the banks are not participating every day. Market breadth was not super, super strong today, which was a little bit suspect. If you want to say one thing was suspect for today's rally, was that. And, of course, crude going down. There is an OPEC meeting on Thursday, too. So I don't know, maybe crude gets going. Finally, just the last thing that I'll mention too, a little bit of confirmation too, is this move, a small move, this is still in an uptrend, bonds, right? But it's good to see this group kind of sell off. Maybe that has something to do with, we keep hearing about this quarter end rebalance. Maybe they did start to sell bonds like midday. Also notice this VPOC being taken out here, and that was it. But this went from green to red in TLT today, down almost 1%. So I think good confirmation. So again, a day is not a trend. Take this like in terms of baby steps, one day at a time, And I think these things are pretty good. I didn't talk about this in the trading room today, but some of those long-term buys that I made last week, but was it last week or the week? I think it was actually 2 weeks. I started to scale into some names. I actually took a little bit of profits in a couple things today. I put on a position in Amazon. I took a little bit of Amazon off today. I also took off a little bit of Tesla. Everything else, I kept the same. I've got a little bit of PayPal on, and I've got a little bit of Adobe on as well, and Apple as well. Again, that's long term like IRA stuff. But hey, if these things are going to move this quickly, if we do get some type of a retest, which I'm not ruling out, I could go ahead and add and scale back in, to some of those positions. But hey, I'm up like in Tesla, I'm up like over 13% since I put that trade on. And as well, Amazon is doing just fine too. So, all right, guys, that's it. And I will send out the link for the 5-day trial for $7.99. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.